You're talking now. I can go back to putting you muted.
I mean, it hurts, because
You know what?
Chat's
Your
been around me.
your rev thing. I hope it doesn't work. How about that?
That doesn't count, chat. That doesn't count, chat. He said he hopes it doesn't work. He hasn't heard my theory about it, so you don't get to change the title yet. It doesn't work that way. You have to wait until he actually hears me and says, "Okay, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, T." It rip, all right? It doesn't work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work yet. Doesn't work yet.
Chat. Wow.
All right. Doesn't work yet.
Oh man. Oh man. All right, fine. I'll stop what I'm doing, guys. If whoever was in my channel, John, I'll stop what I'm doing so I can listen to T explain to me about his rev theory. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. So I gave the analogy of a disc priest. Okay.
Yeah.
So right now in the game, you have protection, which mitigates damage or protects you from the incoming damage by 33%. That's the only kind of mitigation that you have within this game. All right.
Okay.
Now here comes barrier. Barrier gives you an extra heal or an extra shield to protect you against a certain amount of damage. Now, either a debuff or direct damage.
Okay.
My theory is the Jala stance, though the tanky stuff of it, is essentially a disc priest. It gives you that that added protection, mitigation from incoming damage. So let's say in a raid you're about to do VG, and someone misses someone's going to miss the green circles. Well, pop Jala stance, and people will actually get a shield based off of whatever the rev has, and it actually will mitigate the damage that's going to happen for the incoming damage. Right now, the Jala stance, what it does is it reduces incoming damage by 50%. Okay? You already have a buff that already kind of mitigates the damage by 50%. I want an actual shield mechanic that actually works like a disc priest, like that you can actually heal through and keep it up, So my thinking is you change that up, change some of the Jala stuff up, and put barrier and make that a flavor for that whole trait line, where you add your retaliation, you add your protection, but you add barrier on that skill bar and adding mechanics around the barrier, and that could be a good viable substitute for this whole druid and elementalist meta.
So what you're saying is
correction is 33.
So you're telling me that you want them to take out the damage reduction and swap it for a shield.
Yes.
So you're gonna go from 50% damage reduction to protection of 33%.
No, not protection. Not protection. Just not with protection, but not with the not with protection. I'm talking about you get a barrier. So instead of actually reducing the incoming damage, just give you a barrier. That way you can mitigate the damage and you can heal through that and everything like that. You're still
okay. So what is the chat? What is the chat countering against you for?
They're telling me.
What are they saying that they're?
They're telling me their debate is if you brought a Ellie and a druid or two druids, which one would you drop? My suggestion is drop one of the druids, or drop the druid or drop the Ellie, depending on what you want or what the fight requires. Because essentially, depending on what the fight is, if it's VG or something like that, a critical swipe, you want someone to actually mitigate the damage rather than heal through the mechanic or give you the after effect. You don't want to have a cause and effect. You want to actually mitigate the incoming damage before it happens rather than heal afterwards.
I think, okay, in that scenario, I would drop the druid instead of dropping the elementalist, because if the elementalist is a weaver, you can have him in earth and water and heal and do
and get the extra shield every time. Exactly. So there you go.
So Hropp, he's saying he would drop your class. Just okay, Gremlin. I heard him say it, but he changed his mind after I said what I just said. But he did say drop my class in regards of doing it with a druid. But I don't think a druid would be better in either VG or Karen, because of the fact that you can go water, earth, and still do DPS, shield, and heal at the same time instead of a druid
Just actually heal
still
with your
doing
CC.
double druid.
It all depends
And
on the
then
fight.
just
because
doing straight healing throughout the whole thing. I would say instead of doing double druid, do druid elementalist.
No, that's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
if you're gonna need a druid, if
But
you're
that's what
gonna
I'm saying.
want to keep a druid, don't do double druid.
But my thing is,
Druid is better. You need a druid for the buffs. I'm not saying take them completely out. I wouldn't do double druid. I would at least keep an elementalist to do the shield,
the protection. So in that case,
and
you're
you're still doing bleeds.
In that case, then.
Yes.
In that case, I would say, you know what? Don't drop the druid or don't drop the elementalist. But elementalist and revenant is interchangeable.
Druids only provide for 5 people. To maximize the buff, you want 2 druids. I get that, but the thing is, though, the 5 people that you're going to incorporate are probably going to be your melee, which would be good for 1 druid, and then the rest will be for the elementalist to deal with. Barrier decreases with damage; it will drop even faster. I get that, Punisher, but you at least have another health pool, just like a Necro would have at that point in time. Instead of just switching to Shroud, you have a separate type, sort of, kind of in quotes, health pool to deal with and not completely die. Plus, you have Rebound, which will keep people from taking a last blow from people for a couple of seconds, so they can get res back up. And plus, it heals at the same time. A druid can't do that.
So and honestly, Punisher, we can't talk about where it scales off of. This is just all theory crafting, but we don't know if healing power, if you stack healing power for a healing rep, it will actually slower or actually increase the actual or slower the reduction time or decreasing time of your barrier. You don't know how much a percentage of your vitality or whose vitality you're actually going to be pumping out to your barrier, to your people. If you're stacking Magi's gear, which you're dumb to do that, you would get. It's right time. See you later, Puncher. If you're going to stack a Magi, since you're going to be stacking Magi gear, it makes more sense to actually have the vitality to scale out to actually give you that barrier, and to mitigate that damage, you throw a little bit of healing stuff on there. Tilo, I'll get you back in. I'll get you back in a bit. All right, cool.
So to put in my weighing in the Reverend shield thing, I don't think they're going to replace the damage mitigation with a shield. I mean, it makes. I just don't think they will do that. I think that what they're going to do is they're going to keep the damage mitigation on the Reverend and keep the 2 shield bearers, the elementalist and the.
That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense.
And the other one.
That makes absolutely no sense, because if you look at
Why would they want to give a shield barrier to a class that doesn't need it?
Why? Because it's a support character. The trait line is a support trait. So let me read out. Let me switch over, because I'm about to switch over to give you the rundown of this skill. The Jawless trait line is a tanky / also a preventative protection kind of trait line. What's up, Free Blue? I'm not ignoring you, dude. I'm really not.
I think if they do give him a freaking shield, it'll be only for self and for self, just like they do it for a paladin.
But Ellie's gonna be
just
self.
like they could do for a paladin.
The Ellie will be self
because of the fact for them being as a tank. If it's a tank line, I think that'll be the only reason why they would get a shield. But I don't think they're going to give a shield to give out to other people.
But the Ellie will be
Elementalist makes more sense because of the fact that it's going to be in range and healing at the same time.
Why would it be in range?
Where are we going? Where's that freaking link that you gave me that gave us what they're doing? Oh, there it is.
That's the utility stuff. They're not talking about the balances and stuff like that with that. They haven't released that.
Oh.
So the Jawless trait line is, it gives you Retowel, it cleanses nearby foes. Just a lot of extra minor stuff that don't necessarily need to be on this bar. Like extra healing that you don't necessarily need, but it's all selfish stuff. But right now, so this is the skill.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It will be more self-inflict than to give out.
So this is the skill I was talking
If they're
about.
going to be a tank class, I mean, if that's a trait line.
That's a trait line. Yeah, trait line. Is that
I
trait
think
line.
it's going to be more, if they do it, it will be for a tank setup, so it will give them a shield. If they want to take out the damage reduction for a tank, but it's not giving it out to anybody. Hold on, I need to put light on so people can see me in the camera.
So, I'm looking at the skill. Are you there? No, you walked away. This is going nowhere. It is going somewhere. It just takes... Okay, it takes him a bit to catch on, guys. It takes him a bit. You know, I gotta explain it to him in like 3 different ways, and then he'll say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Sometimes he'll prove that I'm wrong, but it just takes a little bit of time to actually get to that point. What's up, Incredible Hulk Gilbert 2? What's up, man? I mean, it's not wrong. It just, I have to just explain it in a different way for him to understand what I'm trying to get out. Are you back?
What did I miss? Yeah,
So,
what did I miss?
No, so right now, so I'm in Jawless stance. It changed my trait line. It changed my skills. What I'm looking at is the elite skill. Okay, Rite of the Great Dwarf. Okay, channel this skill and power the Great Dwarf and turn yourself and nearby allies into stone, reducing incoming damage. Does that sound like a tank mechanic, or does that sound like a preventative man? It sounds like a actual disc priest actually doing a AOE disc heal or shield that goes on to other characters. That's what it sounds like. Am I right or am I wrong?
Reduces damage. That's not a shield, though.
Exactly. Take it out. You should just take that completely out and give it a barrier instead of actually giving you and reducing the damage. Give you a shield with it. It'd be more beneficial than actually throwing it on 50% mitigation damage reduction. There you go. I mean, it's pretty much. And 3 years later, it's gonna get finished soon. It's gonna be finished sooner. All right, guys, it's gonna get finished sooner. I'm gonna sit here and continue to say stuff once in a while, maybe. Whatever.
Wow. Well, I don't understand why chat is coming against you, coming down so hard on you right
because
now.
because
conversation.
No, because you're not understanding it, and it feels as if it's going nowhere. That's what
So where am I missing or misunderstanding, chat? Where am I missing? What am I missing? Because I just said that I was on y'all side, and I'm still getting like I'm missing something. I don't understand.
It's great in World v. World, but what I'm suggesting, Incredible Hulk, is switch this out and change it to give you a barrier rather than give you Rite or Dwarf. The actual skill trait line, the actual skill actually lasts about 3 seconds. It lasts 3 seconds. Take that out, reduce, get rid of that cooldown that you actually, or that countdown that you have, and give you a barrier, and then you don't have to worry about that. You can just say, okay, it goes based off of, you know, your barrier and those other skills and all of that stuff. So it makes sense. That's what I'm saying. And then change a lot of those traits that you have within the Jawless trait line, these extra meaningless skills, like gain might when you gain Fury. Why do you need this in a tank mechanic or a preventative damage trait line? You don't need that, you know? Those skills, all those skills, some of these minor traits on these skill bars don't make sense to be on this trait line. They need to take those out and do something around some kind of preventative damage to the party or to yourself, one way or another. That's my statement. And if they do that, then it gives you a viability or a flexibility between using either an Ellie or a Druid, or doing Druid Revenant, or, you know, Ellie Druid, or whatever the case may be, because you have that variety between that, though. Like, yes, barrier is good, but it's meant to be here for you and going to get hit by massive damage you can't dodge a time. Exactly. And what I mean by it's a current skill. The current skill isn't meant to take last long. I completely agree. Exactly what the Rite Dwarf. Rite Dwarf, I pop it. Sorry. I pop it. It lasts for 3-4 seconds. You know, if you do that, then give it barrier. Barrier will already decrease over time anyways. It doesn't have to be a huge barrier. It could be about 2,000 barrier, but it should scale based off of your whatever skill that you're going to actually have it based off of. If it's based off of vitality, then based off the vitality of the person that's applying it. But right now, this skill scales with nothing. It lasts for 4 seconds, and it mitigates damage by 50%. Where opposed to if you actually give it a barrier, you can actually scale it. It can actually mitigate more damage and last longer, depending on what you scale it based off of. That's my opinion. Add barrier on that skill, and it would be amazing. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Then you can actually have this trait line alongside Ventari, and you can actually use a heal rev in a lot of situations. That's my point there.
I would say not as a heal rev. I would say as a tank. It'll be good as a tank.
Why would you say a tank? Why would you say a tank? Because last time I checked, disc priests don't tank. Disc priests really make the damage.
I would say as a Revenant, and it was a single target on itself, as in if it was tanking, it will work. Because one, it will be a damage mitigation, and two, it will give it a barrier. If you want to give it a barrier. But if a Revenant is tanking, let's say a Rev tanks.
Yes.
And you put that as a trait line for a tank, such as it's a tank, to do as a tank, you can have that as a damage mitigator, or like an oh shit button, like when a boss is going to do a huge damage thing on the Revenant, you can do that. You have that damage mitigation, and plus, if a healer is not around you, you can use that. I mean, it's just like if you're going to say WoW, you could say that would be a freaking a cooldown to use. It could be a utility to be used for you to do damage mitigation. I would see it more in that light than in doing it to everybody else and have to worry about where it's going to have to scale.
Okay, so I would agree.
And going for a lot of vitality or healing power or whatever it would have to work on for the barrier to last, or how much health the barrier will have.
So I would agree with that if Guild Wars 2 was actually a normal MMO, but unfortunately, with these trade lines, you don't have just a pure selfish stuff. Even with the invocation, or even with the damage stuff, you don't have like strictly just damage stuff. Like for instance, with the Scourge trait line is going to have Condi, but it's also going to be support. So if you're going to go with the baseline of damage and stuff like that, then why would you throw support on there? Because it wants to give you variety within that skill line. It wants you to be able to mix mid and max things with other skills based on, or other trait lines to synergize well. Just like the blood trait line, there's selfish traits in there that actually increases your healing and actually does damage to the foe, but it also does AoE healing to support your fellow friends out there. So I agree, if this was a pure, this trait lines for tanking, this trait lines for this trait lines for that, it would make sense. But unfortunately, you have 3 major traits within each one of these pillars. They're going to add something in those trait lines that's going to be one for the group, one to be selfish, and then one to be something to kind of mid-max in between those two, and actually will play well within other game modes as well. And Rite Dwarf, it already goes out to 5 people. The Incredible Hulk Guild Wars 2. The Incredible Hulk Guild Wars 2. Thank you so much for the follow. Much love, man.
It's hunk. Where's L hunk in that word?
Man, I can't read. Where? I can't read, dude. Can't read. Thank you.
Dang it, man.
Doesn't matter. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. Effectively,
just tearing up this guy's name. It hurts.
So that's my piece. That's I'm gonna leave it at that. I think I beat this down enough.
I'm gonna say no, but we'll see.
You're saying no.
I'm saying no. I'm gonna keep with mine.
So
I don't think it's gonna be a bear. I don't think it's gonna be a healer. But I could be wrong.
So
We'll
you're saying the dream is dead with Rev Tank or Rev Healing.
Rev healing, yes.
I'm done. Give me
I'll
just
see
get. Where's the stupid title? Where's the stupid title? I should
Wait,
never.
why you gotta change your title?
I should never bet anything with you on my side and betting you to be on my side. Never. Never.
Okay. I
Never.
have no idea what just happened, but okay.
Never. There. Titles max. Changed it. Is it good?
What'd you change it to?
The Dead Dream Graveyard. I'm just gonna leave my Heal Rev alone and go on to do other marvelous things.
The Dead Dreams Graveyard.